Hello, and in this food law video we're talking about the issue of allergens. And allergens have been in the press a lot. There's been great, and rightly so, public concern about how allergen information is conveyed to consumers. And what has come out of that is a consultation by the government looking specifically at sharing allergen information in the situation where you have non-pre-packed foods. It might be helpful just to break that down a little bit, Katrina, because there's obviously a provision under the food information regulations that where you have a product that is fully packaged, you have to provide all the information about ingredient listing and all the allergen information. But the situation is different, isn't it, for non-pre-packed foods?
Exactly, yes. There's a specific exemption for those non-pre-packed foods. So where those foods are made on premise, that information doesn't need to go on pack. So if you've got a situation, maybe a sandwich shop where they're making their own sandwiches and then perhaps wrapping them up and putting them on the shelves, they benefit from that exemption. But that exemption is being considered as part of the consultation, and DEFRA have put forward various different options about how that exemption could either be scrapped at the most extreme end or perhaps modified or perhaps new guidance brought in to deal with best practice.
Because the exemption at the moment means that for those businesses selling non-pre-packed foods, that they have to make sure that there is signage available to consumers and that staff are properly trained so that they can give the information orally to the consumer.
Yes.
Or, I mean, some do have, separate charts or some or things available.
Of course, some elect to go beyond what is mandated, but the information does need to be available. But it's quite flexible right now. So it could just be on the basis of staff are trained to give that information upon request, and that's really it's really about how this information is going to be communicated.
And even within that category of non-pre-packed foods, it's separated out again, isn't it? Because you have a sort of subset of pre-packed for direct sale. So there's a difference between somebody who maybe makes, say, a selection of brownies or cupcakes and puts them out for display for a consumer to choose, or even somebody who makes a sandwich in front of you and then wraps it up and gives it to you as a consumer, versus, and that's all non-pre-packed food, versus somebody who maybe makes the sandwiches that morning, packages them up, and then puts them on for sale in a package, and that is what we're talking about when we say pre-packed for direct sale. So you can understand perhaps why there is so much confusion for consumers. And although this area is regulated by European regulations, actually member states are given some freedom to implement national measures when it comes to allergen information for non-pre-packed foods or pre-packed foods for direct sale, hence why this consultation has come out. So what are some of the ideas, Katrina, that are being put forward for how to deal with this?
Yes. Well, we've got a spectrum. So, as I mentioned before, the most extreme proposal is effectively to scrap the exemption. So, in actual fact, the full labelling requirements that you would have for pre-packed foods would apply to these pre-packed for direct sale foods, and that's, if you like, your most extreme, most onerous for those kind of businesses. At the other end of the scale, we have a proposal to bring in new guidance from the government. They would run conferences for food business operators and awareness campaigns. Somewhere in the middle of those 2 points, there are the suggestion that maybe we go for a more limited obligation, possibly just to do allergens on pack, so that would be one option, or to mandate ask the staff labels, and then staff would have to give written information about the allergens rather than being able, as they are at the moment, to just give that information orally.
I see. So you'd have a little sticker saying "Ask the staff,"
yes,
and then that obligation is there, and
exactly, yes,
the customer gets the information. I mean, it's interesting that one of the reasons when the food information regulations were introduced to have this exemption for non-prepacked foods and prepacked for direct sale was really to cater for smaller businesses, to cater for farmers markets, to ensure that actually where the consumer could have that direct conversation with the actual producer or the manufacturer of the food and ask questions about allergens, that could take place. And there is a little bit of a concern perhaps here that where some of these provisions completely make sense for large businesses who have got the resources and the wherewithal to be able to provide the information or wherever it is on that scale, actually we shouldn't at the same time penalise some of the smaller, more entrepreneurial, small cottage industries, if you like, the small food businesses that actually can still absolutely fulfil their allergen requirements in the way that was envisaged by the regulations.
Exactly. And I mean, one part of this consultation, one of the questions that has been put forward is whether there should still be some exemptions based on the size of the business. So rather than it being an exemption based on the type of the food, the DEFRA has asked whether we should exclude either micro or small businesses. Now, micro businesses are businesses which have 0 to 9 employees, and small businesses are 10 to 49. So that would potentially, well, certainly the micro would cover your farmers markets. Small might cover perhaps a standalone sandwich shop or perhaps a couple of sandwich shops, but it would still impose the obligation on the vast majority of FBOs who are in this business, who have, if you like, the resources to do this. But it will be a challenge, because on one hand you definitely want to protect those businesses, but on the other hand you're going to have to explain to consumers who have potentially life-threatening conditions that sometimes they'll get this information in some places and sometimes they won't, and it won't be obvious to them in all situations whether this organisation is a micro or small business. So it does present some challenges doing it that way.
I agree. Well, it will be interesting to see what the result of the consultation is. It closes on the 29th of March of this year, so make sure you get your responses in. Thanks very much.